I'm very excited to share with you the newest addition to our parish church, this beautiful shrine of St. Francis Xavier. This statue of St. Francis Xavier is the last remaining part from the former high altar of our parish church that was removed about 50 years ago. Sadly, everything has been lost except for this statue that was just very recently restored by one of our parishioners. Above the statue, you can see the inscription, Ut vitam habeant, that they may have life. The statue showing St. Francis Xavier preaching Christ crucified reminds us why he gave his life as a missionary, that all may have life through knowing Christ. I think that the life of St. Francis Xavier has so much to offer us, and one episode in particular has a great lesson for us at this time that we're facing right now. When St. Francis Xavier was sailing to India, he was on a ship for about 7 months, sailing first from Portugal to Mozambique, and then from Mozambique to the western coast of India, to Goa, where he is buried today. While on the ship, St. Francis Xavier was not able to celebrate Mass. The ship was so small that there wasn't a stable surface to be able to hold the chalice. And so he wasn't able to go to Mass for several months, in fact, a much longer time than we're going to be deprived of being able to be at Mass together. Nevertheless, just because he couldn't celebrate Mass didn't mean St. Francis Xavier hung up his discipleship. Rather, what did he do? Well, the first thing was, of course, he prayed. So a first point of reflection, how have we worked prayer into the routine of our lives? You know, the first couple of weeks were kind of disruptive, but in the time since then, as we settle into a new routine, how are we making prayer a regular occurrence in our lives? For example, how in your own home do you keep Sunday, the Lord's Day? Do you reflect over the scriptural readings? Do you watch Mass on TV or on your computer? Do you do something else as an individual, as a family, to continue to keep Sunday holy? Now, something else that St. Francis Xavier did was he would evangelize the other people who were on the ship with him. A lot of them were simply people out to make their fortune in the colonies. They were kind of rough men very different from the kind of person St. Francis Xavier was. It would have been easy for him to hold back and just stay kind of cooped up in his cabin. Nevertheless, he could always be found out talking with them, playing with their games, conversing with them, and through this, not only to show them human friendship, but through that, to lead them to Christ. Now, all of us are experiencing what it means to be separated from one another during this time. But as Christians, we have to reach out. Just like St. Francis Xavier, forming friendships, building bonds, leading others to Christ among the other people who are on the ship with him. How are we helping to lead others to Christ during this time? I mean, when's the last time that you made a phone call to someone that perhaps you haven't talked to in a while? Sent an email to someone just to check in on how someone was doing? When was the last time that even in your own home, you were able to look around and say, okay, this person's having kind of an off day. What can I do to make it better? And we'll find, as our faith reminds us, that in giving of ourselves to others, we receive even more in return. And so we think about St. Francis Xavier, how when he was on a ship in a very disrupted state, he was still able to stay connected to God through prayer and to bring others to God through his outreach and personal care for them. So for us, first, how has prayer become part of our lives? How have we worked it into our normal routine now in these changed times? And then also, how are we, as followers of Jesus Christ, reaching out to share the love of Christ with others, the same way our patron, St. Francis Xavier, did? Like I said, I can't wait till you come back to Mass and are able to reflect on our saint's wonderful example for us in front of this beautiful shrine that now graces the back of our church. Finally, I would like to thank all of the parishioners who shared their time and their talents in helping to put this shrine together. Firstly, Mike and Janine Hammerquist for constructing the shrine, to David Wynn for helping to construct the iron bracket that's holding up the statue, for Sandy Bullia for doing the inscription that is above the statue, then finally to Diane Kudo for restoring the statue, which will now remind us of the wonderful life and example that our patron, St. Francis Xavier, offers us, both in good times and the challenging times that we now face. God bless all of you.